I was recently asked how to do a hotbar menu system on controller. While the core concepts are the same as mouse and keyboard, there are a few differences, so I'll show you how to use the cross hotbar step by step. First, let's note the changes. Number 1, you have less bars to work with, but more buttons per bar. You get 10 keyboard hotbars with 12 buttons each, and 8 cross hotbars with 16 buttons each. This can affect how you plan your system. For example, you may decide to consolidate tanks and healers into one cross hotbar under the title Support. Number 2, access works a little differently. The point of setting this up would be to eliminate having to use a mouse, so you wouldn't have just a clickable bar somewhere off to the side. For best access, you need to have your menu as part of your main bar setup. You'll need to decide where you want your menu. I always recommend having the full combat kit as accessible as possible, so in this video, we'll use the left and right triggers normally, then enable the option to allow for both triggers to open another hotbar for further combat actions. We'll utilize the double cross hotbar, WXHB, for a menu. You can change this however you like, because the concept means we're placing macros in spots and copying data from whatever bar we're using. If you're not familiar with the double cross hotbar, it's a system by which you can double tap the left or right trigger to open an entirely different menu than just pressing or holding it once. You have the ability to always have it open, or change the current display to the double cross hotbar and back. Note though that going back is going to make your menu a lot more button heavy, so either choose to always have it enabled or disable the return option. The double cross hotbar also has the option of only using the left side and right side inputs depending on trigger, or using the full D-pad and face buttons on both sides. I always like options, so I'll show you the full set. Alternatively, since the expanded controls option is based on hitting one and then the other trigger in order, you could also use that for menus. Left then right could be jobs, while right then left could be useful things like Wondrous Tales or Mount Roulette. But for today's menu, we'll use the double cross hotbar. Now, the system is pretty similar to my previous menu videos. Copy data from one hotbar to a guinea pig bar. We need 2 hotbars set aside to do this, one to display and one for our menu buttons. I'll use 7 to display my menu buttons, which will display the menu itself on hotbar 8. First, make sure both 7 and 8 are shared, and make sure that this is cross hotbar, not regular. Next, before we build any macro functionality, let's set up our menu the way we want it to look. Let's say we want to have a button for changing classes to each kind of role: tank, healer, melee, ranged, caster, crafter, and gatherer. Pick a macro icon that feels tanky and drag it to cross hotbar 7. Because it's shared, it will be the same on any job. Do the same for the other roles. It looks good. Now the feature we want is that when you press one of those buttons, the cross hotbar displays the data for each role. This is where we get to use unused, job-specific hotbar data. If you use hotbars 1 through 4 for combat, then you want to use hotbars 5 and 6 on a job where those bars won't be touched. I recommend a crafter or gatherer. You can also use unshared hotbars 7 and 8 if you're advanced, but beginners might wind up confused, so for this video we're just going to use 5 and 6 on a variety of jobs. I'll switch to Fisher, make sure cross hotbar 5 and 6 are unshared, and place my macros on hotbar 5: Paladin, Warrior, Dark Knight, and Gunbreaker. Now let's go back to our tank role macro. To display our tanks, which are on Fisher hotbar 5, we need to type the following: /c hotbar copy ffxiv share 8. /hotbar and /c hotbar or /cross hotbar are different. You can't copy data from a keyboard hotbar to a cross hotbar, or vice versa, because the format is different. ffxiv says we're copying data from our Fisher's hotbar 5, and because we used C hotbar, it's the cross hotbar 5. That holds our tank job changes right now. Share 8 means that the data is going to our shared cross hotbar 8. So now when we press our tank button, our main hotbar becomes a copy of Fisher's hotbar 5. But we also need to see those buttons, so we have to use /c hotbar change 8. We have tanks! But now we have to work our way back to the main hotbar. Well, there are 2 solutions. One, you could add /c hotbar change 1 to every macro, or 2, you can make a cancel button that goes on every menu and it takes you right back. To do the close button, all you need is a nice cancel looking icon and the command /c hotbar change 1. Drag that to an open spot on your bar, and then after changing jobs, press the cancel button. The first is faster in-game but with a little bit more work for setup, and the second is more flexible because you might open the job menu and not want to change jobs. You could also do both to cover your bases. To do the same thing for healers, let's put our healer job changes on Fisher's cross hotbar 6. White Mage, Scholar, Astrologian, and Sage go on Fisher bar 6. /C hotbar, copy ffxiv, /C hotbar change 8. Voila! In a nutshell, find a class, put stuff on its 5 and 6 bars, copy it over, and there's a menu. You can also make a series of shortcuts, because things on controller can be a pain if you don't have a comfortable keyboard setup. Instead of hitting start and scrolling over to cross-world link shells or friends list, just put those buttons on minor 5. Have a macro that copies minor 5 to shared 8 with an icon that looks friendly. Pop a few buttons and you have a social shortcut. What else can we do? Mounts, minions, items, emotes? The possibilities are endless. If you need further help creating an awesome menu, check for the Friends of Eorzeon Discord link in my bio. If it hasn't been updated, shoot me a comment and I'll get it for you. See you next time.